Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I figured I would do a little reading wrap up and honor me finally being out of my reading slump. I feel like I barely read any books for the first 3 months of the year, but now we are so back, baby. April was the first month that I was back into my regular reading schedule, and I actually was able to read books back to back and books that I was excited about, and I didn't feel slumped at all. Now, I did a challenge last month where I had a TBR prompt jar pick out my reads for this month, and I feel like I did a pretty good job of staying on task and reading the books that I said I was gonna read. So let's get into it. I want to say that I read 6 books in the month of April, but I feel like I'm missing some for some reason. But let's just get into it and we'll see what comes to mind. First up, we had the first anticipated release of April, and that is Abby Jimenez's new book, Say You'll Remember Me. This is one of my auto-buy authors at this point, and I absolutely loved this book. I went into it blind. I posted a whole reading vlog if you want to see all of my thoughts and all of my reactions to it, but I basically just ran to the store. I bought it on release day. Didn't even know what it was about, didn't know what the tropes were gonna be or anything like that. So imagine my shock when I opened this up and start reading, and it's literally just describing my life to a T. This is about a long distance relationship, and I have never read a long distance relationship, a romance book. I feel like I never really see them get recommended. I've never really stumbled across one. So imagine my shock when I finally opened this up and I realized that it's a story about the kind of relationship that I'm in. I was so happy. I felt so seen. Abby Jimenez just has this talent of writing exactly how you feel in every single situation. I don't know how she got access to all my inner monologue, all my thoughts, all my opinions, but she somehow put them all in here, and I just felt so seen. I felt so understood. So absolutely love this book. I have seen mixed reviews from other people. Me personally, I loved it. This follows the story of our girl main character Samantha, and she randomly finds this little kitten in the trash behind her apartment building, and she rescues it. She does what any animal lover would do, which is take it to the vet, and that is how she meets the MMC, which is the vet that she goes to. He's grumpy, he is moody, he does not really like a lot of people, and all he does is spend his time with animals and help out animal charities. So I already love him. They have this crazy meet cute. They finally decide to go on a date, and when that date finally ends is when Xavier, who's our MMC, finds out that Samantha is actually going to be up and moving to California, halfway across the country, to help take care of her mom because her mom has dementia. This book touches on so many heavy topics. It talks about what it's like to have somebody in your life that has dementia, what it takes to be a full-time care provider for somebody that you love, how your life changes, the sacrifices that have to be made to take care of somebody that has some sort of like chronic illness like this. Okay, it also talks about our MMC, who has a completely different relationship dynamic with his family and his parents. So it touches on so many different meaningful topics, and this is why this is such an emotional read. I feel like it tugged on all my heartstrings, and I loved every single character that was in this. I really enjoyed this. I think I gave this 4.5 stars. The next book that I read in April was Indigo Ridge. This is book 1 of the Eden series. This is a series that I've heard amazing things about, and I feel like it definitely lived up to the hype. This is a small town romance meets with mystery. So this is like a combination of a romance book, but also has a whole mystery aspect involved, and you have to go through as if it's like a mystery book and figure out what happened and gather clues and figure out who's responsible and basically find out the truth. So this was so interesting. It was very fast-paced. I literally binged it. Okay, so in this book you have Griffin, who is our MMC, and he grew up on a ranch in this small town, and he has lived there his whole life with all his family and his siblings and all that good stuff. And then you have Winslow, who grew up in this town, but then she moved away and she lived in the city. So we have like a little city girl that goes back to the small town, which is such a good trope every single time. She gets hired to be the chief of police, and she is put in charge of solving this suspicious murder that went down in this town. Very interesting. I gave this, I think, 4 stars. Very enjoyable read, very easy to read, very easy to follow, and it's on the shorter end of things. It's only like 320 pages. I read First Time Caller, which is a rom-com. I don't have the physical copy of the book because I read it on my Kindle, but this was a very hyper fixation of book talk in the last month or so, and so I finally caved and decided, after reading a mystery and a very emotional romance, which is to Say You'll Remember Me, and before having to read Fearless, which is our next book, I decided this would be the perfect little palate cleanser. And so I read it / listened to it, and honestly I went through it really quickly. It basically follows the story of our FMC, who is a single mom, and she has kind of given up on dating, she has given up on love. She's just, you know, focusing all her time and energy on her daughter. And then one day she finds said daughter on the phone with a grown man in the middle of the night, and she's like, who the heck are you talking to? What is going on? Who is this man? So she takes the phone and she's like, who the heck are you talking to my underage daughter? And he's laughing, and she's furious. She's like, what do you mean? What are you doing talking to my daughter? And as it turns out, her daughter has called this this radio show that specializes in giving love advice and is trying to get advice on how to get her mom back into dating and back into believing in love. So the radio host is our male main character. He convinces the female main character to talk about everything that she's kind of gone through and why it is that she's like reserved about love. To everybody's surprise, they find out the next morning that a clip from that radio show has gone viral. 6 million people have seen it, and so the management team of the radio show calls her up and asks her to be a guest of honor and just kind of like a co-host on the radio show a couple times. And that is how our two main characters meet in real life, and they start interacting and they start falling in love. And it's very cutesy, very rom-com-y. Like, it felt very, very rom-com-y, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's the perfect palette cleanser. Is it exceptional? You know, no. Is it a book that I'm going to be thinking about actively for the rest of my life? Probably not, but it was a very interesting premise, and it wasn't just like copy paste of every other single rom-com that I feel like we've all read and we've all seen on TV and everything like that. So it was very interesting, very enjoyable. I think I gave it 4 stars. And then after that, we had the Fearless release day. Best believe I was at the bookstore at 9 a.m. day of to go get my copy, and thank God, because when I went to the bookstore, there was only 2 copies left, and this was one of them. So I held it on for dear life, paid for it, and then I started reading it immediately. Now this is a thick boy, as you would expect. It's the last book of a fantasy series, so much went down, especially because book 2, which is Reckless, which I also read at the beginning of this month, was kind of like a filler book. I feel like not a lot happened, so I ended up giving this like 3.75 stars because we got to know a lot more about our characters and see their relationship kind of evolve. But in terms of the plot, I feel like we completely lost the plot in this one, but we definitely got it back with Fearless, because let me tell you, so much stuff was happening. First of all, the map literally expanded so much. We went to so many new locations. We got a new POV in this one. So much was revealed in this book, and it's just crazy because I did not see stuff coming. I saw online that a lot of people were able to guess things that happen in this book. For me personally, unless if it's a mystery, I don't really try to guess. Like, I just like to be surprised and go with the flow. So I didn't see anything coming. Maybe that's because I'm newer into fantasy too. Maybe it's like more predictable for more seasoned readers. But for me, I really enjoyed it. I honestly cannot believe the series is over. I am so sad. I don't know what I'm gonna do without this world. I think there might be a novella coming. I don't really know, but I really enjoyed this. This is also, to this day, the thickest book I have ever read at 608 pages. Yes, that is crazy. After reading these 2, I did not know what book to pick up to fill the void, so I took a little break. I didn't read anything for like 4 days, and I was getting kind of nervous that I was gonna get into a reading slump. Then it was also Easter, and I had a lot of people coming over, so I had to do a nice deep clean of the house. And while I was deep cleaning, I decided to listen to an audiobook, and I listened to Anna Huang's King of Greed. I honestly wasn't planning on reading the book at all. It wasn't even on my radar, but I just saw it when I was scrolling through the audiobooks on Spotify, and I was like, sure, why not? And I literally binged it in one day. I absolutely ate it up. I was very pleasantly surprised. It follows the story of our female main character, and in the first chapter she announces that she's unhappy in her marriage and she wants to leave her husband and move on with her life because he's just never really there. He's never available to her. He doesn't have time for her. He's just like this busy businessman, and he's always working, always like misses their date nights, and he ended up missing their anniversary, and she decided that that was the final straw. So I'm like, yes queen, dump his ass, go find your MMC for this book. Turns out that guy is the MMC of this book, because the whole book is basically him trying to win her back and trying to fix their marriage. I've never read a book like that, but I just loved it. I thought it was so sweet. There was so much character development. It was so interesting to see a different perspective, because normally we meet the couples and like you're there at their meet cute, and then they fall in love, and then they end up like, you know, getting married and having kids in the epilogue. So this was a really interesting take on romance, because this is a couple that has been married for 10 years. They have all these memories together, all these experiences together, and we as a reader don't know anything about it at the beginning, and then we slowly get breadcrumbs of their story together and how things ended up how they are now and what kind of caused this marriage to fall apart. But it was so fun to see all the sacrifices that he was making in order to bring the marriage back together. So I thought that was very interesting, and yeah, I loved it. Honestly, I was very shocked. It kept me entertained while cleaning, so I definitely recommend. I think I gave the book 4.5 stars. It was really good. And the last book that I read this month was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is a book that I tried to read last year and I DNF'd it, but it is my sister's all-time favorite book, and so it feels like my sisterly responsibility that I read her favorite book of all time. And so I decided to give it another chance, and I'm so glad I did, because I genuinely enjoyed it so much. The only thing that I would say is, if you haven't read this book already, I recommend reading reading it around Halloween. I wish I had read it around Halloween. It just has such like great like magical, whimsical, spooky kind of vibe. I feel like it would be perfect for that little time period. So Caraval follows the story of Scarlett, who is our girl main character, and she lives on this tiny island with her sister and her father, and her father sucks, but thankfully he has arranged for her to get married to some mysterious man. Carol is excited because that means that she can finally leave her island and leave her abusive dad and go live with her husband, because no matter how bad the husband might be, it cannot be worse than her dad. And as all this is happening, she gets an invitation to go to Caraval, which is a super magical, whimsical, kind of like performance show. But Caraval is really, really hard to get into. You can't just like show up. You have to be sent an invitation. So she's really shocked when she finally gets an invitation after she's been trying to get one for basically her entire life. And with the help of her sister Tella and also this mysterious sailor, they make it to Caraval, only to find out when they get there that Tella, her sister, has been kidnapped by the master of the show. And the whole Caraval game this year is centered around her sister. Scarlett has already been warned that anything that she sees in the show may not be real, and there's so many illusions and so many magic tricks, but the only thing that she knows for sure is that she needs to find her sister Tella before the 5-day show is over, because after that she might be gone forever. You would imagine this is very magical, very whimsical, super fun, which is why I was saying this would be perfect to read around Halloween or just like anytime in the winter. It's definitely kind of giving that vibe, so I do recommend. I have heard that the series gets better as it goes, and after you read this series then you can also go into the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, which has amazing reviews from everybody. So I'm really excited to keep going with the series at some point and also get into the second series. Those are all the books that I read in the month of April. I'm pretty sure I have reading vlogs of every single book if you want to see more of my thoughts, more of my reactions, and just like cozy reading vlogs that you can play in the background while you read your book. Most of them are already posted by the time you get to see this video, but if they're not out yet, just keep on an eye out. Make sure to subscribe because I have lots of content coming soon, lots of videos that I've been editing that have been taking forever, but super fun ones. Subscribe if you haven't. Also, if you made it to the end, please make sure to drop a like on this video because it helps me out so much. And also comment this emoji so that I know that you made it to the end, and comment down below your favorite book that you read in the month of April, or how many books you've read, or if you read any of these, did you have similar opinions to me or different opinions. Also, while you're here, make sure to follow all my socials. I have a TikTok, I have a main Instagram where I post about life, but then I also have a bookstagram where I just yap about books non-stop, so make sure to check those out. And that is it for me. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!